I'm not involved in the pardon process. I can tell you.
No, I'm just asking if
yeah, but I don't do yes or no. I don't play games. This is not a game show.
Do you know okay, so I'm just going to tell you
I can answer your question because I know what you're getting at, but go ahead.
He was convicted.
From pardoning a convicted Honduran drug lord to authorizing a military operation against Nicolás Maduro for similar crimes, Rosen exposed the tangled web of influence, secrecy, and decision-making that left U.S. credibility hanging in the balance. The session revealed not only questions of morality and legality, but also a chaotic system where the chain of command in U.S. foreign policy seems as opaque as ever.
President Trump pardoned the former Honduran president after he was convicted of trafficking roughly 400 tons of cocaine into the United States, cocaine that contributed to the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans year after year. Yet the president and his cabinet authorized a military operation to capture Nicolás Maduro in order to arrest him for virtually the same crime. So, yes or no, because I have a bunch of questions here. To the best of your knowledge, was Hernandez convicted of trafficking approximately 400 tons of cocaine into the United States?
I'm not involved in the pardon process. I can tell you.
No, I'm just asking
yeah, but I don't do yes or no. I don't play games. This is not a game show.
Do you know okay, so I'm just going to tell you
I can answer your question because I know what you're getting at, but go ahead.
He was convicted. I know.
The president felt that he was unfairly treated. I can't give you much insight because I'm not involved in the pardon process.
Would you not concede? Can you not understand how the American people and how the world are clearly going to be frustrated by the hypocrisy of this when one man is convicted and pardoned and another man captured, and how it undermines the United States' credibility on the world stage?
No, but the difference is that, again, I can't opine on the specifics of his case because I wasn't involved in the pardon, but he was not a sitting office holder. He was not even the president of Honduras when that decision was made, either to convict him. The difference between him and Nicolás Maduro is he was actively engaged in narco trafficking. It was an ongoing endeavor.
I think it does undermine our credibility, but I'm going to move on to some foreign policy decision-making here, because despite the fact that you famously or infamously have numerous jobs in the administration, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor, it is increasingly unclear who's actually directing U.S. foreign policy under President Trump. We have a special envoy Witkoff. He's reportedly conducted Russian-Ukraine talks in Switzerland beyond your awareness. He and Jared Kushner have been described as managing the president's Gaza plan. Meanwhile, Ambassador Barrack is leading on Syria policy, while Special Envoy Boulos is appearing to lead on our Africa policy. So I have to ask you, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, are you the lead for U.S. government on foreign policy?
No. The lead on U.S. foreign policy is named Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. On the individuals you've described, these are very valuable teams. We have if I can answer, because I think it's important. It's a legitimate question. I have the distinction, but I think both the benefit of being the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State. As National Security Advisor, my job is to coordinate the interagency function of national security, and that involves foreign policy. So I speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in the case of Gaza and now Russia, probably 10 times a day. We have multiple meetings and coordination. All of it is we build a team. We gather facts, we present options, and then we take them to the president. It is the president who directs the foreign policy of the United States. That's always been the case, by the way.
You can't overrule their decisions. Do you outrank the special envoys and ambassadors? Do they get your input as an example? Do they care about your input, or do they go straight to the president?
There's no time in which the president is presented an option by one of us at the exemption of everybody else. It depends on the portfolio. But in every one of these portfolios, we have a team approach to this, which is the way the system is supposed to work. It's not the way it's always worked. You have had in the past tensions between the National Security Council that became operational and the Department of State. In this particular case, there's not much conflict between the two because it's the same person. And we basically, what we basically try to do in every one of these unique missions is we create a consensus team around it, and then we present the president options together. Options. It's the president's decision, nobody else's. There's no overruling here. The president makes the decision. Our job is to present him options.
Shouldn't they report to you? Shouldn't there be a line of command and a line of transparency?
They report to me every day.
Where does the buck stop?
But they report to me every day in terms of keeping me apprised of what's happening. I give advice. I give, in some cases, direction. They involved heavily. For example, the special envoys rely almost exclusively on State Department personnel to assist them in all of their efforts. For example, on the Board of Peace, we help them positioned the entire gathering last week and all of the work that's going to happen now. On every one of these issues, it's not linear. No single individual other than the president has the ability to dictate our foreign policy. Our job is to come to a consensus view on the best way forward. Where there are disputes, those are presented to the president, and he makes the decision.
Let's talk about the Board of Peace then, because all treaties and statutes have to be approved by Congress, and the president is starting a new Board of Peace, and we would need that authority. The authority for the filing stems from the International Organizations Immunities Act, but it's my understanding it only provides the president with such authority when participation by the organization in an organization has been approved by treaty or statute. Treaties and statutes must be approved by Congress. So when will the administration be requesting Congress pass legislation to authorize the president to extend this benefits to the Board of Peace, creating the Board of Peace, and when will it be sent?
Well, actually, the Board of Peace was chartered and set up by the UN Security Council through a vote of the UN Security Council as the deliberation. So it's an international organism recognized by the Security Council of the United Nations, which is something I think many of you should be supportive of. The fact that we're doing it.
The president is claiming his authority is from the International Organizations Immunities Act, and this law only provides the president authority when U.S. participation has been approved by treaty or statute. I know my time is up.
The exchange between Senator Jacky Rosen and Secretary Marco Rubio revealed stark contrasts in the administration's approach to justice and foreign policy. Rosen highlighted the hypocrisy of President Trump pardoning the former Honduran president, convicted of trafficking roughly 400 tons of cocaine into the United States, a drug trade that caused the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans, while authorizing a military operation to capture Nicolás Maduro for similar alleged crimes. Rubio emphasized that the convicted Honduran official was not a sitting head of state, unlike Maduro, and maintained that the president did not allow oil executives or financial donors to influence operational decisions. Yet Rosen's questioning underscored the ethical and credibility issues created by these decisions, raising concerns about consistency, fairness, and the perception of U.S. authority abroad. Rosen also explored the fragmented nature of U.S. foreign policy under Trump. Multiple envoys and special advisors were reportedly conducting high-stakes negotiations on topics ranging from Russian-Ukraine talks to Gaza and African policy, without Rubio's awareness. He explained that his role as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State focused on coordination, gathering intelligence, consulting experts, creating consensus, and presenting options to the president. Rubio stressed that final authority always rested with President Trump, asserting that no single official could override the president's decisions. However, Rosen's questions highlighted the lack of transparency, blurred lines of authority, and potential confusion both within government and for international partners relying on U.S. leadership. The discussion also examined the establishment of the Board of Peace and the president's claim of authority under the International Organizations Immunities Act. Rosen challenged Rubio on the legal basis for this action, pointing out that all treaties and statutes require congressional approval. Rubio defended the board as a UN Security Council chartered organization and argued that U.S. participation did not require additional legislation, emphasizing the legal framework provided by international law. This exchange raised important questions about the limits of executive power, the role of Congress in foreign affairs, and the need for oversight when the executive claims authority through international mechanisms. Throughout the hearing, Rosen highlighted concerns over the influence of private interests and the integrity of U.S. foreign policy decisions. Rubio maintained that operations were coordinated carefully and that the president made all final decisions, with his team providing analysis and advice. Still, the session revealed how overlapping roles, multiple envoys, and a concentration of decision-making authority in the president's hands can create opacity, challenge accountability, and expose U.S. foreign policy to criticism. The exchange emphasized the tension between legal authority, moral considerations, and practical execution of foreign policy, showing how the combination of pardons, military actions, and executive discretion can affect both domestic and international perceptions of U.S. credibility. The hearing demonstrated the complexity of balancing law, ethics, and national security. Rosen's line of questioning illuminated the contradictions and ambiguities inherent in decisions that impact not only U.S. citizens, but global partners. Rubio repeatedly framed actions within procedural and legal boundaries, yet the session made clear that without clear oversight and transparency, high-stakes decisions risk undermining American credibility, eroding trust in institutions, and complicating diplomatic relations. The questions raised by Rosen underscore the importance of scrutiny, accountability, and the need for Congress and the public to ensure that the exercise of presidential power aligns with both the law and the national interest.